You're listening to the Cloud 5 podcast. I'm Jack Mackay, but you'll know me as the posh one that just doesn't stop talking. Today on the show, we discuss the possibility of 3D printed space food, investigate bride napping, cactus smuggling and questionable forehead tattoos, and delve into the bonkers horse sports of Kyrgyzstan, involving goat carcasses and kissing, luckily not in the same game. You can catch us here every Sunday at 7 p.m. We hope you enjoy the show. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Cloud 5, the podcast where 5 British idiots delve into the latest and strangest in news and pop culture. Before we dive in, some introductions to the cast of irreverent imbeciles who'll be guiding you through this week in weird news. First up, I am Jack. We've got Brandon.
Hello.
We've got George.
Hello.
We've got Joe.
Hello.
And we've got Luke.
Hello.
We're not wasting time today. We are launching straight in. Headliners. The weekly segment where you lot fill in the gaps of the zaniest headlines I could find in the depths of the internet. Are you ready?
I'm so ready. Yes.
Our first headliner. Texas accidentally issues Amber Alert for blank.
Accidentally?
Yeah, they accidentally issued an Amber Alert, a warning, a major statewide warning for something.
Is it geese migration?
So much poo flying over.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, there's just too many geese. The state has been lost.
What the geese are coming across, and then some guy in the office is like, "We have to report it. We have to call it in." And they're like, "No!" And he presses the button. It's too late. It's too late.
Or the guy in the police station just like, "We gotta do it. There's too many geese out there."
Just go out and start get a freaking Gatling gun, start mowing the geese down. The actual answer is Texas accidentally issues Amber Alert for cursed doll Chucky.
No
What?
way. Wait, did it escape?
No, the actual this is actually
I don't think
not.
it's real, though, is it?
It wasn't like an actual. It wasn't deliberate, right? This is the point. It wasn't deliberate. The Texas Department of Public Safety said an Amber Alert that was issued for the cursed doll Chucky from Child's Play horror films was a test that was accidentally sent out. The Amber Alert message that was sent out to subscribers of the Texas Alert system 3 times on Friday
3 times.
describes the suspect Chucky as wearing blue denim overalls with multicolored striped long sleeve shirt and says he was last seen wielding a huge kitchen knife.
Oh, good.
Oh my!
Yeah, imagine being
What? So
like...
it came through 3 times. They were like, they've captured him, and then he was out again. And
Yeah.
he's like escaped 3 times on the same
Imagine
day.
being some like small Texan child.
Maverick.
You've got your first phone, and then suddenly you get 3 notifications that Chucky's coming.
Yeah, he's coming around.
No, to
Run
hide
now.
under beds. Yeah, no,
Run.
it's actually so they designed it as a test of the system and then accidentally sent it out.
It's like when people in Hawaii just randomly got a nuclear missile thing, or like ballistic missile
yeah.
warning, and everyone in
Yeah, I
Hawaii
remember
was
that,
just like, "Oh
yeah.
crap!"
Yeah,
And
it's
what
just-
was the context? Was that
in Hawaii?
was that another test or was it just like?
It was like a test, but no one got warned that there was going to be a test. So people in Hawaii were
Got,
just walking
like,
along, and
nuclear
all their
warning.
phones went off at the same time, saying that a ballistic
Yeah,
missile
it's like-
was heading towards them.
yeah, like death. Like gather with your family.
Yeah. Well, that was the Texas Department of Safety issuing a false warning about the
Beautiful.
Chucky the doll from Child's Play. Luckily, it was a false alarm. Our next headliner: first blank in US for sale in New York. We had a similar.
I can't say that.
We had a similar. We had a similar headliner last week about the first human composting funeral home, and one of you said the first fire because that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Well, now how
But
do you
it's
sell
the first
fire?
blank, the first blank in the US for sale in New York.
Polar bear.
First blank
Sale.
in the US. You know. Actually, I would laugh at that,
In
but
New York.
that's that is. They do, because they do have a horrendous like exotic animals trade, don't they? So maybe it is the first polar bear ever to set foot in the US was
No,
immediately
definitely not.
sold.
Everyone else has died like, as soon as they get there.
Yeah.
That's what's actually managed to like survive long enough.
That's how America works.
Can
You
you give us a
set
hint,
foot in
Jack?
America, you get put on sale.
It's a free market.
Capitalism, bitch.
Capitalism.
Yeah, it's capitalism, isn't it?
I'll give you a hint. It isn't.
Is it brain cell?
No, it isn't a living thing. It isn't a living
Golly.
thing. That's a good one. It isn't a living thing or part of a living thing. It is an inanimate
Is it
object.
a statue of Madonna's spleen?
It's a remarkably specific guess.
If it is, I'm going to do a front flip right now.
I regret to inform you, Brendan, that it isn't that. I'll put you and our listeners out of their misery.
Please.
Thank you.
The answer
Thank
is...
you for salvation.
Yeah, well, the answer is the first 3D printed home in the US is for sale in New York.
Oh, that's pretty
So
cool.
rubbish.
Wait.
Wow.
Right, have you seen how big a 3D printer is?
Must be pretty big if it's going to make a house.
Yeah, I was
I
going
think
to
they're
say.
just. I don't think they're real anyway. I think they're just people just making stuff and pretending like they printed it.
You don't think
Yeah,
3D
they're like
printing is
tiny
real?
little-
That's bold. That's the boldest. That of all of the things we've said on this show so far, I don't think 3D printers are real. Has to be the
That's like
wildest conspiracy theory.
That's like my dad saying that he doesn't believe in badgers because he's never seen one. I was like, when have you ever seen, like, I don't know, a leopard?
Yeah, they don't exist. Trevor's never seen one, so
It can't be real then.
cannot exist.
Yeah.
They didn't print the whole house in one go. They
I guess, but
they
Well,
built,
they just put it together like Lego.
but they involved it involved a massive 3D printer, and it created each piece of
sure.
the home at the building site. It's been built with concrete. Apparently, it says this home will deliver strength and
Oh.
durability that conventional wood frame construction cannot match. It's quite interesting. I love 3D printed stuff. I think 3D printing is fascinating. But so I will link this in the Discord and the YouTube description. But essentially, some YouTuber called Jarrett. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say his surname is pronounced Gross, not Gross. I'm gonna check that out. It's really worth checking it out because it's super cool, and it's $299,000. Well, $299,999, which I think is just the most it's just the most fucking ridiculous.
That is
Just call it
beautiful.
300,000. Everyone knows what it is at that point. So yeah, first 3D printed home, which
Wow.
is amazing stuff.
That is fascinating.
It is.
Yeah, it would be if it was real, but
3D.
it's already established it's not.
Yeah, it's obviously a ploy by the government.
Yeah.
3D printing is amazing. It's got so many like applications. I
Yeah,
think
I
people
bet.
have like 3D printed weaponry.
or like nukes.
No, not a nuclear bomb. I feel like a nuclear bomb is slightly too complex to be just to some guy in his garage just make it. I think, but someone has 3D printed a handgun and used it.
On someone.
Yeah. People 3D print everything now. There was like a sort of a sponsorship with like Pizza Hut and NASA where they sent up a 3D printer that 3D prints pizzas for people on the International Space Station.
What?
That cannot be real.
No, I can't.
3D
That
printing
must be-
food. 3D
That
printing
must be
That's
the
like
food.
worst
cloudy
feeling
cloud with a
ever.
chance of meatballs.
No, let me send.
That's not. I refuse to believe that's true. Was that an article in the Onion or the Babylon Bee? One of those satire.
Onion.
Babylon P.
So, NASA astronauts can now 3D print pizzas in space.
bollocks.
That's not real.
No, they
So-
can't.
Are they like edible, or are they
Are they
just
toy?
like plastic?
No,
And
they're
these
the
poor-
decorative.
These poor
It is literally-
astronauts just have to look at these plastic pizzas and think, "Oh, if only I were back down on Earth."
No, but I don't understand it. It's because surely you'll need all the ingredients to put it in the printer so it can print. Where at that point you might as well just make the pizza.
Send
at that
them
point.
a fucking oven. Do you know what I mean?
To send you the article? I learned
Do
about
it.
this years ago. It's mental. It's crazy. Like imagine.
Years ago. This isn't a recent thing. This is
I
like
don't
this has just
believe
been
it.
knocking about. I feel
Yeah,
like
this is-
Heston Blumenthal there or whatever his name is, when he sent up those like space food to try and help those like Tim Peake on the where was Tim Peake on the space station, or was
Yeah.
he in a separate craft?
He was ISS.
They went up to the ISS, and they wanted to get space food up there that wasn't just like blocks of condensed shit. So they wanted actual stuff. And Heston took him ages to try and get bacon up there. You can't tell me that you could just magically conjure pizzas on the space station. Cannot be
Shit like a
true.
love heart as well.
It's called B-Hex, and it was born from a NASA project. And it's basically a 3D chef robot that prints pizzas in less than 5 minutes.
3D chef robot. Probably that. 'Cause it's pieces.
3D chef
As
robot.
opposed to a 2D.
That's the
chef
ship. That's
Yeah,
the
1D
that's the
chef
name of the
robot.
ship. That's the name of the ship. 3D chef robot. Oh yeah, so you fill the cartridges with the dough, the liquefied
With
dough
pieces.
and the sauce.
And then it just prints it and then cooks it.
Yeah, but they haven't sent it to space yet, though. This is the thing, because you pitched it like it's already going on. Like ISS, they've got like a freaking pizzeria up there.
Oh, imagine
It's
though.
not the case.
Now, basically,
Yeah, Papa's one. Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't an Olive Garden on the ISS. They've
You've
just
got Luigi in there.
yeah.
Making them.
The pizza's bollocks. It's nonsense. It's not
We've
going to happen.
identified a bollock.
pizza.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, dude, we've pre-bollocked a bollock.
Didn't see that coming, did they?
Third headliner. Now this one actually has 2 blanks in it, so be ready. I'm shaking things up a bit this week. New Zealand blank strapped blank to her body.
Woman
Is it New Zealand woman? Yeah.
strapped C4.
Oh no.
That's quite morbid. No, the answer is not that.
New Zealand woman straps New Zealand to her body.
No, that would be basically stapling yourself
is
to the
crazy.
road. The first blank is not woman.
It was monkey then.
No, it
Girl.
isn't monkey either.
Is it girl?
It's two.
That's
It's 2 words.
2 monkeys.
Baby
2
sister.
words.
Stepsister.
No,
That's not
Oh.
2 words. Well, kind of.
the first blank is not woman. It is I would say an occupation. It isn't an occupation, but it's to describe someone doing something.
New Zealand surfer just straps C to his body.
Prostitute.
No.
Witch.
Oh.
This is agonising. I'm going to tell you what it is. New Zealand cactus smuggler
Right.
strapped plants to her body.
It's Luke. It's Luke.
You know what? That sounds like a plan. I would do that.
I was going to say,
That sounds like a
discovered
plant.
Luke's true like,
Is that,
calling
is,
in
that,
life.
is that in order to like blend in with the other plants so they don't get caught?
Yeah, you got to make
Smuggling
friends as well.
cactus.
Yeah.
Imagine him being in some like shady alleyway and a woman just comes up, she's like, "Hey, you want some cactus?"
Opens her trench coat. There's millions of them.
Just multiple cactus.
Biosecurity officials in New Zealand said a woman caught attempting to smuggle more than 1,000 succulents and endangered cacti into the country was sentenced to 100 hours of community service.
That is very
100 hours.
funny.
Yeah, she was trying to bring a lot. She had 947 plants concealed in stockings and strapped to her body. She fled to her bathroom when she attracted the attention of a police dog and attempted to dispose of the items, which included 8 endangered and threatened species and was worth an estimated $7,200. Authorities
Trying to shove like cacti like down the toilet.
thousands of cactuses and it's cacti into their thing. Authorities recovered a quote-unquote large amount of plant materials from the bathroom.
Wow.
That
That
was-
was she was going to sell them.
Imagine going in the stall afterwards and just seeing like plants everywhere. Like, what the hell has happened here?
Well, it gets better. So she
Oh,
tried to do
no.
that in 2019, and then the ministry said that
She
the woman
back.
again returned from China in April 2019 with 142 seeds hidden inside iPad covers, as well as more than 200 garden ornaments and plant pots, which were in turn carrying at least 1 snail and pieces of tree fern stem.
One snail.
Snail. you gotta bring the snails back.
I understand maybe if the plants were small, you could fit them in a stocking and strap them to you like a vest, right? How could you get more than 200 garden ornaments and plant pots in to a country alone? How
By
could you do
strapping
that?
them to herself,
Awesome.
clearly.
Put all the plant pots inside each other like Russian dolls.
Yeah.
That's the answer. Loads of cacti. I feel like Luke would probably do something like that if he had to get somewhere. If we were in the middle of a pandemic and
If he
Luke
went
was
off the
separated
rails.
from his plants. If he was separated from his
Well-
plants, he was 100% smuggle them into the country in like a plant vest.
Luke,
Exactly. I can't leave my friends behind. You know.
what is
No,
your favourite plant?
Oh, that is a hard one.
Oh, God.
Before my birthday, I would have probably said, oh, this is a difficult one. I probably would have said Monstera. My Monstera.
I'm
Adazuni.
familiar. Yeah, I've
Oh.
got a few of them. Yeah.
I'm with you.
Post lockdown, I would probably have to say my philodendron
Is that because it's the
Red,
only one left?
Imperial Red.
It's the only
No,
one that
I've
isn't
got.
dead.
George, I've got many. I've got
They're
many.
all gone.
Luke's
They're still
Luke's got
going.
many.
Lucas sat in the Suffolk equivalent of the fucking Amazon rainforest right now. His bedroom's like a greenhouse.
I feel like one podcast I should just talk through my plant collection as like an extra.
I think there's a very large audience for that.
Views through the roof.
There is. Everybody email in if you want to hear about my plants.
That's what
Let's be
everyone's
honest,
here for, actually.
Yeah, exactly. That's what everyone's really listening for.
If you have any headliners for us, you can tweet us at Cloud5 using the hashtag Cloud5, or email us at cloud5cast@gmail.com. We've had some lovely messages and emails over the past few weeks. This week in Weird, how would you lot arrange a wedding during COVID?
I wouldn't.
Secretly.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
No, that's not an option. If I said to you, there's a wedding that needs to happen, it's been on the cards for ages, and we keep delaying it, and we're going ahead with it. I need your help planning it. Give me some answers. You wouldn't just go,
No.
don't. No.
Yeah,
Right.
You know
Plan
Zords,
your
those
wedding
giant
trip.
hamster balls. Everyone gets in a giant hamster ball.
What, the same one or their own?
No, everyone individual hamster balls.
All in
And
one.
You
No,
do the entire,
sorry, that was a stupid question.
You do the entire 2-hour wedding reception, and if you run out of air, tough luck.
Yeah,
It's like
Survival of the fittest.
Sorry, Gran.
Yeah.
So if the groom passes out halfway through, that's a
You hear a
problem.
thud. You go, oh, there's Linda.
Clearly, he's not the one.
It's like, oh, David didn't make it. Oh, shame. I always liked David.
Tough luck, Dave.
You just got to put on the card, just nobody with weak lungs.
The thing is, if you've got weak lungs, are you going to leave your house anyway? Because COVID will creep round and do you one.
Creep around.
I love how you've personified COVID as a kind of drug dealer. He's going to sneak up on you and tap you on the shoulder and then shank you. Well, the answer, actually, you guys, is I guess you're not far off with the hamster balls, because what I thought when you mentioned hamster balls was zorbs. And people tend to do water zorbing, don't they? Well, an Indian couple has practiced some extreme social distancing for the wedding when they held their ceremony 60 feet underwater.
Did they hold their breath or did they have snorkels?
No, George, it was scuba. It'd be hard to get 60
They had
feet
to hold
underwater
their
without an air tank in the first place, let alone stay down there for an entire wedding reception.
No, basically, they tied
How would
bricks
they hear the
to
guy?
the bride and groom, and they just chucked them down and just saw the bubbles slowly rise up. Oh, I do. He's dead.
I don't think it was a big. I don't think they had your aunt in a big hat down there as well. I think it was only the couple and some select people to be not only be witnesses but also be safety people. Make sure everything's going well. I don't think they got the family and the in-laws down there.
The dog
Yeah,
with his own
the dog.
rescue gear on.
Yeah, exactly. The kids, get the kids down here. Bring the toddler. No, they actually did. It was so the wife had only started taking scuba lessons about a month before the wedding, and she said, "I was nervous, and so were my parents, but we had 8 divers with us. It was exciting too because we've been trying to tie the knot since last week." She says.
Oh my god,
Since
an
last
entire
week.
week. An entire week, right, that's it. We're going down.
Thing is, though, you said it was in India.
Yeah.
It's not to be stereotypical, but isn't the water quality isn't it quite polluted?
I think it was the ocean. I don't think they just got
Yeah,
in
Not in the
Oh,
summer.
this pond
let's
looks
go
nice.
let's go down the sewer.
Let's go to the canal.
Yeah, shall we get in that river? It's full of dead fish. Let's pop in there. No, I think they went in the ocean. I think they probably
This
went
looks
in.
less brown than the last.
I do. Well, it said that the water had cleared, which indicates that the water is normally in a state of unrest. So yeah, it was the ocean, not a river or a pond for that matter, or a puddle. Following on from strange rituals, be it underwater marriage or lobbing babies off of a building, if you want to learn more about that, tune into our last episode. I've had a few requests to go into a bit more depth on the strange Kyrgyzstan horse riding sports we mentioned last week.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So I've gone down the rabbit hole of Kyrgyzstan horse riding sports and have fixed you up with some. There's so many, and they are truly amazing. So very popular, as in all of Central Asia, is a game called Ulak Tartish, right? And it's a
I've heard
team
of that.
game. I think we should do this after lockdown. I think we should play this game.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a team game resembling a cross between polo and rugby, in which two teams of riders wrestle for possession of the headless carcass of a goat,
Yep.
which they attempt to deliver across the opponent's goal line or into the opposition's goal, which is usually a big tub or a circle marked on the ground.
I'm down.
What do you think of that?
I'd would.
Well,
I'm down for it.
Just
I'd
the
do it.
concept.
So like with the rugby thing, do you get like a stick or something to like whack people with as you're going around?
Well, no, what? What do you
Do you
mean?
mean with the polo thing?
No, I mean, but like, because it's like, how could you be rugby like with a horse? Surely you'd need someone to like hit someone with to like
No,
win.
no, you
What the
just
shit
ram
are you
your
talking
horse.
about? What are you
Rugby
talking about?
tackling.
You're talking as if like sticks to smack people are a regular rugby fixture.
No. I mean,
What
like,
are
you
you
need, like,
saying?
you need the
I
wrong
thought you
physical
playing
contact. There's no physical
Yeah.
contact with just riding on a horse playing polo with a goat's head.
Yeah,
Yeah, but no, but I think no, but you don't. No, but with polo,
just
you have a
polo.
long stick that you play. No, but you're not punting the entire goat carcass with a stick. You have to carry it,
Yeah,
Oh, just
what are you doing with the horse then?
riding
ram
it.
it. You ram it.
Yeah,
into
but
other
how are you going to
people's
grab the
horses.
goat's head if you're on the horse?
Well, I assume that they have some sort of. Well, people will be carrying it. You have to try and take it off the people. I can't quite figure out how one does it with because they definitely use dead goats, which I think is mental, right? That's
I love
just
it.
mental.
I love it so much.
Well,
It must.
let's
must
be
reek.
realistic. What else
You
would
can't
they
use
use?
what's alive, can you?
It's gonna,
Yeah,
you
can't
can't
use
use
a
a
live
living
goat.
goat.
Well, it's a super like competitive sport. Originally, before they got actual like rules for the game, or like an actual standardized regulation involved, the sport was mainly based on rules like don't whip your fellow riders intentionally, and don't deliberately knock people off their horses.
I've got some questions about the goat.
What's your question? about the goat?
How many games can you use the same goat for, and how fresh does the goat have to be?
How fresh does the carcass have?
Well, it's either
Yeah,
a goat
like-
or a calf, depending on where you are in the world. But the animal is normally beheaded and disemboweled and has 2 limbs cut off. It is then soaked in cold water for 24 hours before play to toughen it. Occasionally,
I see.
sand is packed into the carcass to give it some extra weight. And though a goat is used when no calf is available, a calf is less likely to disintegrate during the game.
Do you think animal rights activists have gotten on this?
I don't think animal rights activists have as much a sway in Kyrgyzstan as they do
I
here.
was gonna say, imagine like showing up to this like really popular game like in Kyrgyzstan, and you're like you're an animal rights activist. Like, are they going to shoot you?
What is your thought process? Where do you go from? First off, for that scenario to work, you have to be an
Yeah.
animal rights activist, say in Britain or America, where they do tend to be quite rabid, right?
Yeah.
You're an animal rights activist, and you decide,
In
do you know what?
Kyrgyzstan.
Do you know what? It's a really great place to go on a trip, Kyrgyzstan. I'm going to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
there, and I'm not only just going to go there, I'm going to sample the very famous sport of slinging a goat carcass around, and then they will,
They're gonna challenge that.
the Kyrgyzstan authorities will be there at the game and will notice you and immediately know I smell an animal rights activist and will pull their rifles out and fill you with lead. What are you talking about? It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous line of inquiry.
Spidey senses,
Kyrgyzstan
too.
citizens are only allowed to own hunting guns or gas pistols, and they need permits, so they might not get a shot. Maybe they'll just like throw like the goat at them.
No, but they don't loathe animal rights activists
bludgeon
so
them
much
to
that they
death
want
with
to
the goat
execute them on
carcass.
site. What are you
What is
saying?
happening?
Oh, you could use the animal rights activist as like a second bull to add a bit of spice to it.
It's
Like
the spare
the
ball.
snitch.
And
Yeah,
just
the
make-
spare ball. You know, like when you kick a ball and it goes into the ditch, and then like no one's got like the balls to go and get it, so you have to basically like, get a spare ball. And it's
So you
the
just think,
animal
oh,
rights activist.
that happens in the UK games too. You just, when a ball goes in the ditch, nobody can be really asked to go get it. Let's use one of the dads. Ridiculous. In answer to your previous question, George, I can't find the answer to what they use to pick up the said goat or calf or animal rights activist. If they are actually taking it, just to and fro, I assume it is carried. There are other games in Kyrgyzstan involving horse riding. They really, really do do like their horse riding in Kyrgyzstan. And last week we referred to them as kind of like the Dothraki, and some of these games really are Dothraki-esque.
What's the Dothraki?
It's a Game of Thrones thing. Don't worry.
Okay.
Game of Thrones. Popular games on horseback include Tien MA, which is picking up a coin from the ground at full gallop.
No way.
There's
What?
Wait, they have to pick up a coin with their fingers
yeah, a full gallop, yeah.
from the ground whilst a horse is sprinting.
That must
No, but
break
you've
so
seen
many
Game of Thrones.
fingers.
You've seen Game of Thrones. You've seen what those stuntmen can do on those horses. It doesn't surprise me that they could possibly do that in real life. Although I would worry they'd probably have to wear gloves so that they don't skin their fingers when they're.
I was gonna say, like, what happens if like your finger gets caught, or like you lean too far and you like slip off your horse? Like, do you think people get like seriously injured?
They probably do, yeah.
Yes.
Break your
Yeah.
neck.
Yeah, I imagine it is very, very dangerous, which is why you have to be so physically strong to do it. I mean, it says men in the game with the goat carcass and jamming it in the other opponent's goal. That game is generally played by men in their 40s because they are the only people who have had the physical training and who are strong enough to be able to participate in such a sport.
It kind of reminds me of like the sport they do in Russia, which is like professional slapping. Have you,
That's
have you
funny.
seen that Vasily guy
Yeah.
who's like really powerful and he's able to like slap someone so hard they pass out?
Yeah, it just knocks them out every time.
There's another game called Jumbi Atmai or Atmay. It's a large bar of precious metal called the Jumbi. Is tied to a pole by a thread, and contestants attempt to break the thread by shooting at it while at a gallop. This is what I'm talking about. They are like
Everything's
the
about on a
Dothraki.
horse.
What
Yeah.
are these guys on?
Horses.
Oh, they're on a horse.
It's not as fun if there aren't horses involved.
There's another game called Kiz Kumai. A man chases a girl in order to win a kiss from her while she gallops away. They're on horses still. If he is not,
Of course.
not her galloping away. That'd be quite weird. The man chases after a female centaur to court her. No, if he is not successful in winning a kiss, she may in turn chase him and attempt to beat him with her horsewhip.
That is
God.
really
Brilliant.
cool.
Brilliant.
I think we should
So
do
good.
that in this country and replace dating sites with that.
Yeah.
So instead of doing
I
all
think
that
that'd be
shit
amazing.
with small talk and dates, let's go to Frankie and Benny's, I think we should have gladiatorial dating where you have the man and the woman, the hopeful man, the suitor, let's call him. Well, both are on horseback, and the girl has to run as fast as she can down the M5, and the man is going to chase her
The
and
M5.
desperately
Down the
try and
M5.
tackle her from her horse to win a kiss. And if he's unsuccessful and falls from his horse onto the tarmac, the girl immediately circles round with a devilish glint in her eyes with the whip at her side and then starts marching towards her. And the man, slack-jawed in horror, sprints away in the opposite direction. But she's coming with that
Back
whip.
up the M5.
He knows what's coming. I think we should do that.
Like poor Matilda in her Fiat 500 is like witnessing this as she drives to work.
Yeah, exactly. And then it would provide people on the road a source of entertainment. It would be great.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
Think of the economy. Think of how many people would show up in their droves to watch that.
Yeah, but like, what happens if like some dude doesn't get the memo, just like drives like 70 miles per hour down the M5 and just hits them?
It obliterates them both.
Yeah.
That would
Like,
unfortunately
and the
put a
horse, they'll
dampener on
die.
these proceedings, yeah.
I wonder how many horses get injured in the process.
Oh,
of
probably
these.
a lot, and it's quite sad. I'm sure there are plenty
Yeah.
of horses that get hurt in the process, but
Small price to pay for a kiss.
it exactly right.
That's a date night for you and your girlfriend, George.
Yeah, there you are. Nick to Kyrgyzstan. Grab a couple of horses. Bob's your
Wait, do they
Grab-
have to
grab a
like? Do
couple
they have
of
to be
horses.
specifically horses from Kyrgyzstan? Can we not use British horses?
Well, British horses clearly aren't trained in that.
Well, it's
way, are
mainly
they?
just
So-
that wasn't the issue. I wasn't like, oh, only Kyrgyzstan horses are physically prepared for it. What I mean is, I'm not sure of the legality of such a game in this country. Just doing it in the middle of like, I don't know, fucking Peterborough. Do you know what I mean? I feel like the police might be a bit. Oh, what's going on here? Horse wrestling, bit weird.
That's breaking COVID rules.
Move on.
Still to come, we have our Florida Man segment. We talk about one of the most amazing places on Earth. We dip into Science Corner, presented by our very own Luke Potter. And we end the show with our weekly segment entitled Factoids, where I read out 3 facts. 2 are true.
Bollocks.
Now for our surprisingly successful Florida Man segment, in which the most absurd area in America offers us a regular source of entertainment. For the latest in our forays into Floridians' frequent follies, Brandon brings us this week's Florida Man. What do you have for us, Brandon?
So I have a very beautiful Florida Man. Some have called him the ultimate Florida Man, the one true Florida Man.
The one true Floridian.
How could this guy usurp the previous Florida Man? Last week, I strongly advise you to watch the last episode. The last Florida Man was a naked fella who stole a police vehicle on the interstate and fought police officers naked, barehanded. This is, I mean, how can you upstage that?
I want to know, how do they know? Is there a leaderboard? I want to know, rankings. Is there like a tally?
Place your bets. Which Florida Man is going to make a twat of himself this week?
Well, I have a reason why this one's the ultimate Florida Man. So, man with tattoo on his forehead arrested for calling 911 for ride home, and he's also arrested on marijuana charges. What was the tattoo of?
Was it a swastika?
No.
Good.
Do you want to know?
Was it?
Clearing that up.
It was the state of Florida.
What, like the Florida shape?
This dude has got the state of Florida tattooed to his forehead.
He is
okay, I take it back.
Mascot.
He is the Florida Man.
He
is the chosen one.
He's the state representative, Florida Man.
He
actually has Florida permanently grafted onto his face.
The reasons he was arrested are so stupid, because basically he called 911 because he didn't have any money to get a lift home for a taxi. So basically he called the police, can you give me a lift home, please? And obviously in America, or anywhere, you shouldn't call the police or emergency services for any reason that isn't an emergency. So they arrested him.
Wow.
On the street.
What an idiot.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's the issue of wasting police time, and his call might have interfered with someone else's call. Does that warrant an arrest?
Well,
I'm sure the police get loads of drunk calls. Surely.
Well, so basically, he cursed at the dispatcher, which is obviously you're not supposed to do that.
Cursed.
So he did some swear words.
A pox on your family.
And then it gets better. And then, he was found wandering around at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So the deputy
But after his incident?
Yeah, after he cursed at them. So the deputy was like, I can call you a taxi. And he was like, I don't have any money. So he carried on walking in the direction that he lives. The deputy went on his way. And then he called 911 again. And then this time he called it in view of the deputy who just arrested him whilst he was on the phone. And then they searched him, because obviously that's what you have to do. And he had marijuana on him, and he denied knowing what it was. So they arrested him.
I don't know how it got
He had
into
it
my
on
pocket,
him,
officer.
and he didn't know what it was. Not a clue, mate.
I'm going to be honest with you. This week's Florida men have been kind of lacking.
No. That is not lacking.
A Florida Man who is actually the Florida Man.
What, the Florida
It's
man?
not lacking.
Literally, if there was a superhero called Florida Man, he would look like this Florida Man. He would have Florida on him in some way. The state of Florida etched onto him in some way. I would have said on a costume. This guy's gone one step further and said, "Do you know where I need it? Right in the middle of my face."
The thing is, though, the sad thing is, it would have been so much better if it wasn't just, misuse of 911. Imagine if, man with Florida...
Yeah, no, but it is a bit underwhelming that he is the Florida Man, but he just,
Yeah, because you would have thought he would have,
calls.
held up a bank and then, shot 7 cows on, a run to, the Mexican border from
Your
Florida.
imagination is so weird.
I know. Yeah.
Held up a bank and then shot 7 cows.
Get in his way.
At this point,
You know, just 'cause
I
he
wouldn't
can.
put anything past Floridians.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Well, that was a lovely Florida Man story, Brandon. Thank you for sharing that this week. It was amazing. Also this week in Weird, where is the worst place you can think of to lose something.
Florida.
Then you have to go to Florida and fraternise with the residents.
Probably like the slums of
The
India.
Sahara.
The slums.
Like the slums of India, because like if you drop something, chances are there's someone who's immediately spotted it and grabbed it and sold it, because like that's how they get their money.
George and I have been to some very poor areas in India, and I have to say it possibly isn't the crazy place you remember. You don't like drop a coin and then suddenly there's like 8 skinny children on it at once, like rats. It's it's a fairly, we have had dealings with some shady figures. That sounds like we're buying drugs off them. We have encountered some shady people, but it's not representative of the entire place. People are just poor, aren't they? They're desperate, aren't they?
Poverty is sad.
It is devastating. But no, it isn't the slums of India, nor is it the Sahara, although Luke has been the closest with his guess at the Sahara.
What did he say?
So it's a desert.
Is it a desert?
It is.
Oh, sand.
Oh, is it a cold
Pot
desert?
of sand.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, because you can get cold. Because like the Arctic and the Antarctic, they're deserts.
What do you reckon?
I'd probably say into a black hole, actually.
Yeah.
What's the deepest part of the ocean? Because if you drop something to the deepest part of the ocean, it's gone.
I sometimes lose my glasses and think, where did I put that? Oh, shit, yeah, of course, the black hole. I forgot. Yeah, last night, instead of putting them on my bedside table, I threw them into a singularity.
Well, it is probably the worst place.
Worst place on Earth.
The worst place to
worst
lose
place on
something,
Earth.
Because... Okay.
The answer is
the ocean.
The ocean is a good guess, but the answer is Antarctica. For me, it's not like this isn't a definitive quiz, but my answer is Antarctica because, as it turns out,
I like Antarctica. It's cold with penguins. Like, what's not to like?
Wow, Joe's first sentence in like minutes. I like Antarctica. It's cold and it's got penguins.
Yeah.
Well, as it turns out, a bloke from California has had his wallet returned to him after he lost it 53 years ago in Antarctica.
Imagine just being on like some expedition, you just see a wallet and you're like, nice.
Well, he was from San Diego. His name was Paul Grisham. He doesn't remember losing his wallet while serving as a meteorologist in the US Navy in Antarctica in 1967. But the wallet found during the demolition of a building at McMurdo Station, the southernmost town on Earth, definitely used to be his. That's pretty. Imagine. I bet there's nothing in that wallet that is of use to him anymore.
That's pretty cool.
Well, no, because he didn't even realise he lost it, so clearly not.
The thing is, though, if someone returned like a wallet to me that like gave me good memories of like a time I spent in like the southernmost part of the world or the southernmost town, and like I'd keep that wallet as like a memento because obviously that must feel like when he received it, he must have been like, wow.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I would probably have been moved to tears by something like that. Like 53 years and you lost it in Antarctica. I'd love to imagine what it would have been like if he had noticed when he got home. He was like, "Hi, love, I'm back from Antarctica." And he puts his hands in his pocket and he goes, "Oh, shit, where's my what?" Oh my god.
Imagine if it was like his house.
He just like, his mind just like cuts to like it like just in a snowstorm.
Like a barren wasteland in the middle of a blizzard. And his wallet's lying there.
Yeah.
No, but I find it amazing that someone found it and was able to return it to him. From Antarctica.
Would they demolish it? What's the point of demolishing it? That's why
No. They didn't. No. They haven't demolished an entire outpost. They've demolished just one building.
Oh, okay. But then
they weren't like, we need a blank slate. We've taken up too much of Antarctica.
There's too many penguins.
Too many people knocking about. Talking of deserts, where is the driest place on Earth?
My DMs.
Florida again.
Your DMs. I knew one of you would say something like that. Yeah, no, it's not your DMs. Although it's probably quite close.
Isn't the driest something like Death Valley or something?
I believe that is the hottest.
Yeah, that's the hottest.
I've heard.
I thought the Sahara was because Sahara was equator.
No, you see, I thought that
Sahara's
too.
Not the equator, is it?
I've heard that Death Valley is actually the hottest. I can't cite my sources on that. But
no, you're right.
Death Valley is the hottest
true.
place on Earth.
Yeah, 50 degrees. I think they recorded like 50 to 60. I think it was around that.
But the driest place is not Death Valley, nor is
it
Sahara.
Antarctica as well.
You're goddamn right.
Hell yeah.
It is also Antarctica, although a lot of people think it is the Atacama Desert in South America. It's not that, although that is the driest place on Earth that isn't at the poles. But indeed the driest place on Earth is Antarctica. Parts of the continent have seen no rain at all for 2 million years.
Jesus.
Covering a surface area of approximately 4,800 square kilometers, there is an area of Antarctica called the Dry Valleys, and they are completely snowless. They are not completely, but they are largely snowless. It is unique in that they have frozen lakes and extensive areas of exposed soil, which represents a region of Earth approaching the minimal requirements for supporting life. In fact, I believe it's the only place that they have on Earth that they have found no traces of microbial life.
That's really interesting.
That's pretty crazy.
They should exile bad people there.
Well, no, I was thinking
that's quite harsh.
No, it's
That's
bad.
shooting them to the moon.
If you think about it, that is
but I mean really bad people.
That is the perfect place to do trials for colonizing Mars and.
Well, Brandon, you are exactly right. That's what they do. They that area is kind of like a template for Mars, and they have used it in a lot of things because the low
sounds like such a fun place to work.
Limited precipitation and salt accumulation make the McMurdo Dry Valleys almost more like Mars than Earth. And
really cold.
It stays dry. This is very science cornery, which is why it's at the tail end of the first section, the main part of the podcast. But they remain dry because the precipitation that falls as snow to the Antarctic continent is then blown away from this area by strong, dry, what is called katabatic winds, which are essentially a type of wind that's quite unique to Antarctica. And I think it is when wind slopes down mountains of some kind.
Yeah, and it blows away because obviously the snow, if it's very flaky and dry. It doesn't settle. It will literally just get blown.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I'd love to go there. I might go there.
I would love to go there, but I think it is possibly the most inhospitable place on Earth.
The thing is, though,
I'll just do it. I'll just tank it. I'm built different. I'll just go there and be like, I'm fine.
I can show up with a geography degree.
It's not even cold.
Let's go there.
Built different. Joe shows up in his tighty whities.
Didn't think of that one, did you, scientists? So yeah, that is the driest place on Earth, Antarctica. The McMurdo Dry Valleys. I think it's fascinating.
That is fascinating.
I
think it's easy.
Very, 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 very cool stuff, and almost too cool for this podcast. So yeah, that's the driest place.
That's Antarctica, baby. Amazing place.
Now for a more erudite experience, or rather a similarly erudite experience, our regular scientific segment presented by our very own Luke Potter, Lord of the Science Corner. What do you have for us today, Luke?
I have some marine animals today. So what did we do last week? We did microbes in space last week, and the week before.
Tardigrades.
Yes.
Don't talk to me about tardigrades.
Tardigrade invasion.
The week before, we did some parasites, and today we are. Actually, no, we didn't. The week before we did some frogs, and then parasites the week before that. But I'm going to be talking about marine animals which quote unquote fly.
Oh yes.
Interesting. Was it like flying fish?
Yeah. So the first example that I have are the kind of the commonly known flying fish, and there's about 64 species in total. They're also called flying cod, I believe. So I think they're kind of closely resembling codfish, but they kind of have these like wing-like extensions or like on their fins, not wings as in bird wings, but kind of just like longer fins. And so they're able to kind of jump out of the water because they all kind of use this same mechanism. So they make powerful propelling motions as they're coming up, and then they leap out the sea. And then they kind of glide for a bit. And so the obvious reason for this is that they escape predators. But one of the really cool organisms that I found that do this are the neon flying squid.
Oh, I
Flying
love squid.
squid?
Squid.
Oh no, that must be horrible.
I was like,
I've never...
What?
I've never heard of these things.
Imagine being like a predator.
Yeah.
And then like you're chasing your prey, and then it just flies.
Yeah, imagine being a shark. They're like, what the fuck? I can't do that.
You're just like looking at the surface, and it's like, whee!
They've got hacks.
Oh my god, they're fly hacking.
They're hacking life.
They're in creative mode. It's not fair.
Squid in creative mode.
So these squids, their binomial nomenclature, because it won't be a science corner without one, is yet again, I'm going to butcher it. Omastrephes bartrami.
Oh wow, dude! It's like you're trying to summon fucking Baphomet.
It's trying to summon say.
And so these are the neon squid, and they basically fly, quote unquote fly, to escape their predators.
Whoa.
So
Where do they fly to?
they
It's more like gliding, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say, is it
gliding.
actually flying, or is it
it's
just...
not like they kind of fly over.
Is
to
it like leaping up into the air? You leap up and then
Another
you
ocean.
just glide like
so
a
they
couple
kind of
meters.
they leap up and they glide. And a Japanese research team saw this back in 2013, and they found that they could fly up to, well, quote unquote glide up to 11 meters per second.
Whoa.
Wow.
To put this in a little bit of perspective, back in the London 2012 Olympics, Usain Bolt averaged 10.31 meters per second.
Whoa,
wow.
really?
Sprint. Yeah.
Wait a
That's
minute.
really cool.
So
Get
The thing
them
is,
on
what's
the
the
They are-
distance?
meters.
If they're doing 11 meters per second, how far will they actually
Yeah.
go? Like, how many seconds are they actually gliding? Because that depends how high they leap up.
the article that I saw said that the species could actually fly more than 30 meters.
Wow. So that's covering like 330 meters.
No, just 30 meters.
Well, 30 meters. That's like 330 meters.
I was going to say, I was like, what
I don't know what my brain was
just
telling
not
me.
quite the same.
All right, I'm cutting that out. That's embarrassing. Cut that shit
No,
out.
leave it in. Leave it in.
I can't leave it in. Everyone will know I'm a fraud.
You're fake and you're a fraud.
I am the bollock.
Yeah.
We've located you.
Identified.
That's gonna be on. That's gonna be a new
You were the
merch. We've got a shirt or a hoodie in the pipeline with our logo on it and the slogan "Identify the bollocks." I'm gonna get one that just says "I am the bollock."
It turns out, after it all, I was the bollock.
I was the bollock.
So these squids will be chased by predators, and so they'll kind of come up to the top of the water, and then once they kind of finish shooting out, once they kind of finish propelling themselves out of the water, what they'll do is they'll use their fins and their arms. They'll spread them out, and because each of their tentacles kind of has like a webbing between them, and the fins on like the top of their head kind of are quite long and triangular shaped, it actually kind of creates an aerodynamic lift as they're flying through the air. So they kind of have a nice arc that kind of comes up and goes down, which is why they can glide for so long and for so far out of the water.
Wow.
That is so
They
cool.
shoot up like little like they propel themselves up through the air.
Yeah.
Could they
Yeah.
use their tentacles as like propellers?
Oh my god, that is an image. Can you imagine?
Like a spinning,
Helicopter.
like all their tentacles like spinning, like.
That it would be.
no.
That would be. It's just not happening. It isn't possible.
Yeah, that would not only
Nothing's impossible.
need a physiological change, but also need a behavioural change for that to happen.
Is there an animal that has rotary blades like a helicopter?
Owl.
No, George. No, you misunderstand what I'm saying. I
Owl
said
just put its head all the way around. That's what you're asking.
no, that's not what I meant. Because you thought the question was, can any animal spin a large part of their body? No, a part of their body a large distance. What I said was, does any animal have rotary blades like a helicopter?
Like a sycamore tree.
So all the animals flying around with their fucking propellers on their heads.
I thought you meant...
I wish. Oh my god! I wish owls were like sycamore seeds, and they instead of using their wings to like fly normally, they just spun through the air.
Or just like really, really fast.
That would be hilarious.
That'd be hilarious.
I don't trust owls.
Why?
I hate owls as well. They're always watching you with big eyes. Like,
Yeah, like what
they know something we don't.
What are they
like
planning?
it as well.
They can
They
say
like
your
it.
soul.
I learned
do
a
like
fun
it.
fact about owls. You want to talk about owls for a bit?
Oh, give it your fun fact.
So obviously humans have coded animals, or owls is calls to be twit twoo, right?
Yeah.
Exactly right. And basically that I heard this through the grapevine. Any scientists listening will probably be like, he is a fraud. He is a fraud. But what I heard was that the twit-twoo is not emitted by a singular owl. The male owl will go woo, and then the female owl will go twit.
Wait, what?
Genuinely,
Wait,
I'm not fucking around. That's
owls
not
have
a
been
bad joke.
scamming us.
That's not a bad joke. I genuinely, I think that it's something to do with them communicating to each other, and because in films you never hear owls going twit twoo. You always hear owls going woo, and that's because when they communicate with each other, the female will say twit, like a shorter thing. You know what I'm saying?
I don't like that.
Alright.
I need to verify.
That's
I need to verify
me.
the veracity of those claims, but that
Now
is what I've heard.
I feel like owls have been lying to me this whole time.
Yeah, you can't trust
It's
them.
not a personal betrayal, though, is it? They don't like every time Brandon let's do the twit twoo bit. They never do it.
He's here, do it.
It's a government conspiracy. They can never know. Brandon Hatton can never know the truth, is that owls don't actually make this noise.
Wait, does that mean now, like, all the owls in the world are like, oh, crap, he knows?
No, because I don't think there are many owls listening to this fucking podcast.
I swear, if I don't respond to any of my messages from now on,
Brandon's going to open his curtains and there's going to be an owl on his windowsill like, shit.
Like, what do you do if you find me if my throat's slit by owl talons?
That is the question.
Then we'll know.
What would we do? We'll never know.
I'd probably do nothing to be honest.
God.
If we
Dead.
That's such a bizarre scenario. Deary me.
We found you dead, and the first thought is the owls.
The owls. Yeah, we performed the autopsy and the examination and determined, by God, it's the owls.
Not the owls.
By Jove. I bet it was a tawny. I can tell by the width of the talons.
Yeah.
Hedwig.
They're all freaks, owls. They're all looking like, oh yeah, look at me, I'm an owl. No, you're a freak. Yeah.
Thank you for your input, Joe.
I'm so
Thanks
glad we
for
got
that,
that piece of insight.
Thank you, Joe.
Anytime.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That is the
okay.
best thing I've ever heard in my life. Oh dear. Sorry,
See you out for your
Science
game. I know they're listening.
Don't
My message to them.
shut
They will not
up.
be beefed.
Shut up. Oh my God.
Stop talking.
Oh my god.
Oh dear.
I
Okay.
can't even
Cut
do it.
sides,
Alright.
by the way.
Science caller, Luke. Sorry, carry on.
Okay, and so so now we're going to be moving on to a couple of marine vertebrates. So another obvious one is dolphins. They obviously have more of a kind of like a
If
jump
you
out.
are
and
gonna,
like
if
a
you're about
leap.
to tell me that dolphins can fucking fly, I am gonna leave this podcast. They do not.
Yeah, they kind of
Well, they jump,
They
don't
kind of
they?
go out, sprout wings, and then they just kind of like
Feathered
fly over.
wings.
No. It's no mystery that dolphins jump as part of their swimming patterns, but it's more the why, which is kind of a little bit more interesting
they can.
because dolphins rely quite heavily on sound communications. So obviously they always have their echolocations, like their clicks under the water. But some scientists have speculated that they actually use the sound of them splashing and coming back down on the water as like a communication of where prey is, or
That's
even
interesting.
to communicate with a mate.
Oh God, is that why they
so-
surface when humans hang around? Because dolphins, aren't they like the only
They're
other animal in the
definitely-
world that just has sex for pleasure?
Yeah.
Is that what they're doing when
Yeah.
humans come by with their boats? They think, oh, here they are. Come on, Marjorie, let's get them.
Dolphins are horny.
Yeah.
And so this kind of like this jump out of the water to attract the mates could be like a show of their agility and strength.
Oh, trying to impress.
Yeah, yeah, and then maybe for the more hunting side of things, it could actually be to get a bird's eye view of the water. So they kind of jump up with just enough time so they can look at the water below and locate prey, maybe.
But why would they look
Um,
above the water to see prey in the water when they were already in the water?
What?
Because for a bird's eye view, you can see a larger
thought
Oh,
they
like
area,
a fin.
and you can see shoals if they're like further away. If you're in more muddy water, it's very hard to see quite
Like
far
Can
away.
they
Frozen.
also, in theory, can they do it when they like go up in the air? Can they be like, oh, I can see a shark?
That's what we're talking about, Brandon.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
What do you think we're
Brendan.
talking about? Oh, can they do that thing when they're up in the air? What you mean the thing that they do when? Can they go in the air when they're in the air? What are you saying?
No, I'm saying like, do they use that to like say, oh no, there's an enemy?
Fucking what? Oh, you mean okay? So you mean like instead of identifying prey, do they do it to identify predators as well?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's not how you phrased the initial question, but okay.
Sorry, I have trouble sometimes.
Honestly, Brandon, I don't know. They're pretty smart, so they probably do.
Like, don't they like pass around like pufferfish and like poke their noses into their spines because like the venom gives dolphins a high?
Yeah, I think that has been going around. I'm not sure the actual.
Get
Damn
high
it.
off pufferfish.
Scientific.
Oh, those bloody pufferfish rings are going around in the ocean.
Does that mean you have dolphin junkies?
The donphin.
The dolphin.
Yeah.
Dolphins are super close to humans in intelligence, aren't they? Them and like they are
Yeah.
super close to humans. I think them and like elephants are quite close to humans in terms of emotional range. I've seen footage of an elephant trying to reach a fruit from a high branch and he can't do it, so he goes over to a box, pulls the box over, and uses
That's
it
smart.
as a stool.
I've seen a video of a monkey creating a spear out of a stick and also creating a rowing boat. Like basically, they had like a bit of wood, and he sat on it with a bit of wood that was like a paddle. So monkeys are starting to enter the Stone Age apparently, which is quite scary. Because like, what do we do if we wake up one day and monkeys have like made swords?
Just do a preemptive strike, probably getting too powerful and just take them all out before we
I
take
think
us all
I
out.
think
It's
humans
more-
would have intervened before that point when the monkeys start developing weaponry. I think we'll be like, okay, that's probably we're going to step in now and be like, maybe don't do that. Also, the Stone
Bad
Age
monkey.
was a ridiculously long amount of time. It wasn't like they were like, oh, brilliant, stone. Oh, do you know what's better than this? Bronze. What do you mean bronze? I don't know. I've just invented it. It's
No, I've got a
it wasn't
gun.
like it wasn't that fast. It was
What if they're
probably over a
super
period of
monkeys?
thousands of years.
Could be super monkeys with massive intelligence.
Super monkeys.
Yeah,
Super-
mate. Oh, but dude,
Monkey.
Brian's got bronze. Look at over there. John, he's got a fucking metal sword already.
This
Look
guy
at him
has
go.
got an RPG.
Look at it. The monkeys have developed nuclear weapons.
Yeah, he's got a fusion reactor. What?
The thing is, if this was to happen, do you think monkeys would just sort of their evolution kind of and their intelligence would be like sort of accelerated due to humans already going through it? Do you think monkeys would then sort of, because we already know, like, because obviously we have like we're in our modern age. Do you think monkeys could then accelerate and get to that point if they were entering the Stone
I'd
Age?
blow 'em
Because
up.
humans already have, and they're like, oh, monkey find gun.
That is an interesting theory. If monkeys are at the same level as human intelligence was when they entered the Stone Age, I find it unlikely that chimps are at that level. But if they were,
Gonna go ask one.
would they be influenced by human development and be able to speed up their own evolution? I think there's some credence.
I'm
to
going
that
to
because-
research this. I'm going to write a thesis on this. I'm going to
Because-
sell it to Harvard.
Because when humans were
Sell it.
around, when humans popped up, right, they were...
We didn't have anyone,
We
did
were
we?
alone, weren't we?
Yeah.
We didn't have any points of reference. Whereas monkeys are
have
going
point.
around, they're like, that guy has a gun, how long will it take us to make that? What if they start
Yeah, I
reverse
want one of them.
engineer? They could reverse engineer human technology, possibly. I mean, not now, obviously, but...
That
that's
is
possible at some
really...
point.
I'm going to
doubt-
research this to the hell.
Luke's going to weigh in and immediately crush our dreams.
Yeah.
I doubt it would ever get to that point, even if they are.
Let us
the
dream,
intelligence
Luke.
of
Let us
WeWork.
dream.
Let us dream
Because
of
I
monkey.
imagine
Manky.
humans being the kind of scaredy cat, also kind of greedy people that
Please
we
kill them
are.
all, to be honest.
Governments will intervene
Good.
and
Take
mass
them out before
murder.
take us
Or
out.
then.
Against
So-
justified
We could
means.
hire the
That's
monkeys.
very
Fully agree
cynical.
with
Do you think that there would be a global culling of monkeys, or do you reckon that there might be a few war crimes committed against monkeys if they reached our anywhere
Yeah,
near our
there'll
level
be
of
war
intelligence?
crime.
But then there would be some sort of
Monkey
peace
trap.
treaty made, and the monkeys would develop, and we'd treat them. There'd be a whole issue about races. They'd be integrated into our society, and there'd be an issue of racism. But like, oh, I don't want to go over as a. I don't know how I feel about saying that on the podcast. Because that could be.
Yeah,
that could be,
yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know-
I'd marry
We know
a
what you mean, Jack.
chimpanzee.
You know what I'm talking about? If chimps, I don't know if it would be like, oh, that chimp's got an axe, it must die. All of them must go. I think it would probably
if they
be.
We are
threatened
talking about
us.
chimpanzees, yeah.
Well, they are the closest to
no!
humans in intelligence, aren't they, chimps?
They're quite notorious
Most
for being unnecessarily
Yeah,
violent.
most
Yeah, but I
monkeys-
assume we were probably quite violent back in the day. Human tribes, the untouched ones, back in like in the middle of on those islands,
On
you
the
know,
Amazon.
North
Islands,
Sentinel
they're
Island.
fucking mental. They murder anyone who comes on their island. I genuinely think, you know, and they are fully evolved human beings. I totally believe that you know, one of the reasons why chimps are so horrendously sadistic and violent is because they are a tribal species that have lived
Yeah.
isolated in the wilderness, and that's what they like to do, and that's what humans like to. The Sentinelese people, there was that guy, the Christian guy, who was like, let's go convert him to God, and they put an arrow through his face and dragged his body across the shore. It's like, well, there you are. That's what the monkeys are doing at the moment, making sure that anyone who comes in our village gets their face ripped off.
In theory, like, unless like this monkey like sort of theory is true, the only other form sort of intelligence that could match humans is artificial intelligence, I think.
Yeah, ones that we
So
create.
really ready more
Ones that
intelligence
we
than
But
create.
that's
we
just
do.
ours, though, isn't it?
But then the problem is, though, there's still a case of what happens at the point where if artificial intelligence reaches a certain level, would there be an argument of rights for artificial intelligence? I've heard people talking about this, like, does artificial intelligence have rights at a certain point in its sort of development?
Well,
No, it's
what I can
computer.
say is that we are going to leave that discussion for now because Science Corner has gone on for quite a while. What we'll do is we'll leave that discussion and pose it as a question to our listeners. What are your thoughts on the rise of AI and AI intelligence? And maybe
monkeys.
next week we could pick up that discussion, possibly in Science Corner, possibly in our mixed messages segment, and we talk about the future of AI. And we could have a long, productive discussion about that. But I don't think there is much time for that today.
I'd like to know everyone else's opinions on the monkey theory as well. I'm genuinely quite interested in it.
I'd love to
monkey
hear
good or
an
bad?
actual scientist's point of view. That's amazing. Well, thank you. That's provoked
Thank you, Luke.
some stimulating intellectual discussion. I say intellectual. Some stimulating discussion. Thank you.
It's very intellectual, I have you know.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, for some trivia to end the show in our weekly segment entitled Factoids, where I read out 3 facts. 2 are true, while 1 is a load of bollocks. Bollocks everywhere.
Get 'em.
Well, not.
Where are
No.
they?
I was going to say bollocks everywhere.
Must
There's only one.
locate.
A singular bollock. It is your job to identify the bollocks.
I'm gonna do it.
Is it a left
This
or a
week
right
we don't
one?
really have a theme for our factoids, but I have
Ooh.
taken them. I have had my factoids inspired by the stuff we've talked about in today's episode. So there's a cactus-based factoid, there's
Lovely.
a Kyrgyzstan-based factoid, and there's
yes.
an Antarctica-based factoid. So we are pulling from multiple sources here.
This is
So-
gonna be tricky.
If you're all ready, no internet
Yes.
allowed. Obviously, goes without saying.
Don't even know what the internet is.
Maybe monkeys are at our level, Luke.
Absolutely.
First fact.
Watch yourself.
First fact.
The owls on you.
First fact. The
Don't let us distract you, Jack. Just keep going.
Okay, ready. The first fact. The largest cactus in the world is a 78-foot tall saguaro in Texas. Second fact. At least a third of Kyrgyzstan's brides have been kidnapped. Third fact, chess is banned at Russian Antarctic stations.
One is the false one.
Joe, are we making another bet?
Alright. One is the false one.
I've got to think that the cactus is the false one. Because I can imagine chess being banned at a Russian base because,
what
someone got shot.
Somebody was murdered or something.
Yeah.
What conditions?
What conditions? I mean, do you still want to control Florida Man?
Hold on. Is it a wager if you
I
both
don't really
agree?
care.
Hold on. It's not a wager if you both agree.
Say,
You go,
it's not really...
Joe, I bet you it's 1. And he goes, yeah, I think it's 1 too. What do you reckon?
No, we don't think
That's
it's
not
the
a bet,
same
is it?
one. Don't think it's the same one. I think...
No, you
oh,
do. You said, I think it's the cactus one. I think it's number 1. And Brandon said, yeah, I think it's the cactus one too. Do you want a wager? Who's who? Nobody stands to lose.
We both win.
Oh, yeah, we both win.
Didn't think
What's
about
the?
one, did you?
Discuss it amongst yourselves.
Hey.
What could be the rationale?
Right, maybe next time when we disagree.
I feel like the cactus is too detailed to be true.
the cactus.
Yeah, because obviously Russia, like we said earlier, Russia. I mean, there's a chess game going on. Someone gets too angry because they've just lost their pawn, so they shoot some dude.
What?
Yeah, they throw their vodka at the other person.
Yeah.
And
Do you think a chess game is the right place to decide to resurface a pornography?
No, what? You know.
Do you know it's been really bothering
piece.
me all day about this porn thing. I'm going to put an axe in my friend's face.
PAWN.
Yeah, the piece.
The piece.
Not
one.
Fuck
Yeah.
me! I thought you meant.
Disposable ones.
I thought you meant because they're in the middle of. I thought you meant.
Oh my
That's
God.
brilliant. I thought you meant because they're in the middle of Antarctica that that somebody has that they've lost or had their pornography confiscated.
No,
Because they're in Antarctica and they sit down at the chess table full of fury. They're like, God, goddamn commander. Commander Stepanov has taken my bloody pawn, and he goes, "Oh well, here's another pawn that's going to be taken," and then the table gets flipped, and he picks up the table and bludgeons his friend to death on the table. What?
I was going to say, how would that relate to chess?
That is one of the. No, that's what I was asking you. That's why I was like, "Is that really?" I thought it was just your weird imagination playing up, linking it to porn. I didn't realise. That is the funniest miscommunication I've ever experienced. Oh my God, amazing!
You just baited yourself. You should be ashamed.
I did.
Oh,
I'm
that's
sorry
beautiful.
about that.
Yeah, you will be
okay,
sorry.
so just talk. What do you reckon, guys? What's
Well,
the
I'm going to
bollock?
be honest. The sad truth is, the Kyrgyzstan one is probably true because.
Think about it.
At least a third of Kyrgyzstan's brides have been kidnapped.
All brides. At least every single bride in Kyrgyzstan. I don't know.
How many brides?
I think the cactus is the bollock.
Yeah, I think cactuses as well. I'm just going to say 73 feet.
I just don't think there's the nutrient availability or the water availability to make a cactus grow.
Yeah, I was going to say
78.
The thing is,
78.
you get
feet,
giant
that's
redwood trees in forests in America, but that's because they're in a very wet environment. They've got lots of nutrients, not lots of water. If you're in a dry, arid environment, it's going to be so difficult. Where's Texas?
I'm stumped
I might
in
say
between one and Kyrgyzstan.
the wife one.
I think actually
I'm
it's
between-
the wife one.
Okay, so that's Joe and Brandon on the cactus, George and Luke on the Kyrgyzstan brides being kidnapped. I can tell you that it's lucky Joe and Brandon didn't make a wager because it is the largest cactus in the world. That's the bollock!
Yes!
No, that means we both won, Brandon. So we should have done a wager.
Oh, yeah, we should have done a
Lucky.
wager with ourselves, and then we.
Well,
double
no, I
the
say
money.
it's lucky because one of you would have lost out.
No, we both would have won.
I'll give
Yeah,
you the
we both
context for the
win.
bollock first,
both
and then
win.
I'll discuss the others. What's interesting is I love this because you're often right for the wrong reasons. So last time I told you about the lemmings jumping off the cliff, and you thought it was bollocks because I told you about a phrase that is, similar to
But
following the
nobody's
pipe.
ever
You know,
heard
like how
before.
people say, following the Pied Piper, as in it's going to lead loads of rats off a cliff. There is a similar one for lemmings, but you thought that I was chatting shit, and that is what
Well, yeah, 'cause you
clued you
were.
into the bollocks. No, it wasn't. There is actually a fact.
You are a bollock.
With this, you are right that it's the bollock, but there was a 78-foot tall cactus. It wasn't in Texas though. This is the thing. So the tallest saguaro ever measured was an armless specimen found near Cave Creek in Arizona. It was 78 feet in height before it was toppled in 1986 by a windstorm. And that's obviously a bit of a shitty thing to do. But this is the reason why I swapped the places around, because the saguaro is often used as an emblem in commercials and logos that try and convey a sense of Southwest America. Even if that product has no connection to Arizona or the Sonoran Desert. So these cactuses are pretty much only found in a part of Arizona, but anywhere, places like New Mexico, Monument Valley, Utah, Texas, that is all people use saguaros in logos to try and denote those places. Like in Western movies, they always used to do that to make it seem like they're in the Old West. They're only found in a certain part of Arizona. There are no naturally occurring saguaros found within 400 kilometers of El Paso in Texas, but the silhouette on the logo of old El Paso fajitas and stuff is a saguaro cactus. So it's I was hoping to trip you up on that
mental.
one. So there's in fact a Dallas-based band called Reverend Horton Heat, and they actually have a song called "Ain't No Saguaro in Texas." So
there ain't no saguaro in Texas.
Isn't
That's
that fun?
pretty cool.
The other two,
I want to know the context behind the Kyrgyzstan wife one now.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, it is mental. The wording of the factoid was designed to trip you up, but it is no less true. I don't mean that a third of Kyrgyzstan's brides are currently kidnapped.
That's what I thought you meant.
What I mean is that a third of Kyrgyzstan's brides have been subject to something called bride kidnapping, right?
Oh, is it a tradition?
Right.
It is a tradition. It's another mental tradition that they do in Kyrgyzstan.
What is wrong with them?
It's very similar to what the Spartans used to do in Greece, actually, although this one's a little bit stranger and it's persisted to the modern day. So let me explain to you. This takes a little bit of explanation. In one model of bride kidnapping present in Kyrgyzstan, the young man decides he wishes to marry and asks his parents to pick him out a suitable bride, or is told by his parents that it's time he settled down and they found someone of the right background of attributes. They found a target. The prospective groom and his male relatives or friends, or both, abduct the girl. In the old nomadic days, they used to do it via horseback. Now they just bung her in a car. They take her to the family home. Once there, the man's relatives may attempt to convince the woman to accept the marriage and to place a white wedding scarf on her head to symbolise her agreement. They may do this by pointing out the advantages of the union, such as the wealth of their small holding, to show her what she would gain by joining their family. They may also use force or threaten to curse the woman if she leaves, an effective threat in a superstitious country, you might agree. Some families will keep the girl hostage for several days to break her will. Others will let her go if she remains defiant. She may, for example, refuse to sit down or to eat as a sign that she is refusing the proffered hospitality. During this period, the groom typically does not see the bride until she's agreed to marry or at least has agreed to stay. The kidnapped woman's family may also become involved, either urging the woman to stay, particularly if the marriage is believed socially acceptable or advantageous, or opposing the marriage on various grounds and helping to liberate the woman.
You know what? Like arranged marriage and forced marriage and sort of like having your parents tell you, oh, this is who we want you to marry. Like, I understand it's tradition in most cultures, but it does upset me. Because, like, imagine, like growing up and... Yeah, imagine growing up and immediately being told, like, this is who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. Like,
yeah, it is it's a very, very... it's completely alien to us as people
Westerners.
live in as Westerners, but it is very, very, very popular practice in a lot of places. I know that a lot of Sikh families practice it. My ex-girlfriend, her grandparents are Sikh, and they were arranged marriage, and they're still together after years and years and years. I think we imagine it as some barbaric practice, and how could you do that to someone? And it is weird to us. And I personally believe in the advantages of choosing who you want to marry, but obviously it works out in some cases.
Imagine being held hostage Like, imagine just, like, walking along the street and then somebody bung you in a car, and next thing you know, you're, like, chained up in the basement.
It's quite crazy, and it is actually illegal in Kyrgyzstan, but they don't really do anything to prevent it from happening, so a lot of it still goes on. Because it's traditional, so it happens. Imagine that, again, this is another thing that I think you could substitute, dating sites for. Just to be like, what's your address? And she gives it, and then some guy shows up, shoves you in a Land Rover, takes you back to his house, and then his gran tries to persuade you to marry him.
Yeah, your gran, yeah. Your
Imagine
gran uses
just, like,
force.
Put the scarf on, love, and then we can all go home. Do you know what? Personally, I'd be more receptive to it if it was they did like the old days and hog-tied the woman and put her on the back of a horse and carried her to their family household. I think that would be better. Or just don't do it anymore. Maybe that. Maybe just stop doing it. Our final factoid. Chess is banned at Russian Antarctic stations. What clued you into this? What was the thing that
I
made
think
you
it's just
were like,
the fact that it's Russia. If it was
I know
Yeah,
chess
the fact that
chess is really popular in
Yeah.
Russia, so maybe it's
Something's-
trying to distract them or something.
Something's banned in a Russian military base. So basically, you think, why is it banned? Oh, it's a Russian military base. It's banned. Someone probably got injured or killed because of this thing. So instead of just kind of avoiding, they're like, no, it's completely banned. Like, if we see a single chess piece, you're going to be kicked out of the military, thrown under the tank.
That's what happens in Russia. Well, in 1959, at the Vostok station in Antarctica, then a Soviet research station in Princess Elizabeth Land, was the scene of a fight between two scientists over a game of chess. When one of them lost the game, he became so enraged that he attacked the other with an ice axe. According to some sources, it was murder, although other sources say that the attack was not fatal. Either way, it's probably should be discouraged. And then afterwards, chess games were banned at Soviet and Russian Antarctic stations. So you were right, exactly right.
Yeah.
So you got that. Two of you have identified the bollock this week, and two
Yeah,
of
me and
you
Brandon know
have
what's
done it
up.
for the right reasons. That there was indeed
Both win.
an attack on a fella on during a chess game. Wasn't anything to do with pornography, as I
Yes.
So, that does it for this week's episode of Cloud 5. We hope you've enjoyed our nonsensical ramblings and perhaps even learned something fun. I know I have this week. If you have any questions, facts, corrections, or just plain silliness to send our way, you can contact us at cloud5cast@gmail.com, leave a comment on the Cloud 5 Podcast YouTube channel, or tweet us at @cloud5cast, or use the hashtag Cloud5. We'll be using this time of Sunday 7 p.m. Regularly, just to give me more time to edit and have a life at the weekends. When it goes live on YouTube, it will also be going live via a premiere, which means that you can live chat while it's up kind of on your first viewing. So that'll be fun. We may get two people on there.
Yeah.
It's and I'll be uploading highlights from the episode and the previous episodes throughout the week until next episode. So yeah, that was a good. We had some good discussions today, boys.
Yeah. Monkeys.
Yes.
Funny monkey.
We covered a lot of
Okay.
ground. But thank you everybody for listening in, and we shall see you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.